Think setting up a living trust is complicated or only for the wealthy? Well, think again. It might be the best way to protect your family, and it's easier than you think. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to set up a living trust and avoid probate, protect your assets, and secure your family's future. Hi, I'm estate planning attorney Mike Smith with Smith Barid LLC, and I'm one half of the estate planning guys. We've helped thousands of families building living trusts that work exactly how they need. So let's help you do the same. Now stick around because I'm going to explain the one crucial step that most people miss when setting up their living trust and how skipping it can cost your family everything. So what is a living trust? Well, most people think a living trust is just a document, but it's so much more than that when it's used correctly. A living trust technically is a legal arrangement where your assets are held and managed by a trustee, somebody that, it's either you or someone that you trust. You control the trust while you're alive, and you decide how your assets will be distributed when you pass away. It's called a living trust because it takes effect while you're still alive, and it can be changed at any time. So you can make any changes that you want to anytime you want to. So why set up a living trust? Well, here's why thousands of families choose living trusts and why you should too. The number one thing about a living trust is that it avoids probate. The assets are held in trust, so then your estate doesn't have to go through a court process when you pass away. And that saves a bunch of time and it saves a bunch of legal fees. The second thing is that it allows you to control the asset distribution. So you can specify who gets what and when and how they get it. The next thing is that it offers privacy protection. Trusts are private. Unlike a will, it doesn't have to be filed in probate court when you pass away, so nobody knows what the details are in your trust, and it doesn't become public after you've died. The last thing is that a trust allows for disability planning. If you become incapacitated, then your trustee can simply take over, manage your assets without needing any court approval. If you don't have a trust in place, then your family could face a conservatorship proceeding in probate court or a guardianship to put someone in place to be able to manage your assets for you. With a trust, we don't need to do that. You already named somebody that you want to take over, and they just take the handle to the bucket and manage the trust for you if you become incapacitated. So if you suffer some sort of mental impairment that leaves you unable to manage your own affairs. Now, setting up a living trust, it might sound complicated, but when you break it down, it's really just 4 simple steps, and it's easier than you think. The first thing is you got to choose the right type of trust. You could have a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust based on what your goals are, depending on what you want to accomplish. The next thing is you have to choose a trustee. So you need to choose someone that's trustworthy to serve as the trustee of your trust so that if you become incapacitated and when you die, that person will be able to take care of everything regarding the trust. The next thing is you have to transfer the ownership of your assets into the trust. That's what lawyers call funding the trust. I think of the trust as a bucket. The funding is where you put the assets into the bucket. Then you have to actually create the trust document also, and that step really comes before the funding. We got to have the trust. I got things a little out of order, but I recommend working with an estate planning attorney to create a trust. That way you can make sure that it is legally sound, that it's valid for your estate, and that everything's done right. If you don't do that, it's kind of like doing brain surgery on your own. Well, you could probably do it, but it's just not a good idea. Now, I want to reiterate again, don't forget to fund your trust. That's putting the assets in the bucket. If you don't transfer the assets into it, then the trust is not going to work like you intend it to, and your family can wind up having to go to probate court anyway. So the funding is really important. So to recap, setting up a living trust is one of the smartest estate planning moves that you can make. It keeps your assets out of probate, it ensures they're distributed how you want, and it even helps if you become incapacitated. If you want to learn more about protecting your home with a trust, check out our video on how to transfer a house with a mortgage into a trust. I'm Mike Smith with the Estate Planning Guys. We'll see you soon.